Benjamin Impossible. Chapter 32. Final Request. Of course, I'm copying your brain. Didn't you hear my well-rehearsed monologue? Do you have any last words? Benjamin thought fast. I'd like to speak to my brother. Glockenspiel's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Why? The last time I let you speak, he told you personal information about my habits. Well, Benjamin said, this may be the last time I can speak to him before I become a robot, and I'd like to apologize for failing in my rescue attempt. The cyborg thought about this. Very well. Perhaps hearing your final words will make him easier to manipulate in the future. You may speak to him, but I don't want him speaking back to you. I am turning his jar microphone off, and I will be watching for any shenanigans. Glockenspiel walked Benjamin's spacesuit over to the giant jar and parked it there so Benjamin could see his brother. Charlie floated inside the jar, eating another Oreo cookie. The baby stared at him with an eyebrow raised. Well, Charlie, Benjamin said uncomfortably, can you hear me inside that airtight jar? The baby nodded and kept munching. I just wanted to apologize for getting you mixed up in all of this. Charlie pointed at his mouth, then pointed at Benjamin's spacesuit. No, Charlie, I'm not hungry. You'll have to do all the cookie eating from now on. Once I'm a cyborg robot, I won't have a stomach anymore. Charlie shook his head in exasperation and held up his hands and moved his thumbs up and down. Thumb war? Benjamin asked. You want to play thumb war with me? I'm afraid we can't, little brother. You're trapped inside a giant jar, and my spacesuit is remotely controlled by Dr. Glockenspiel's cyborg brain. If my new robot body has thumbs, perhaps we can play then? Charlie rolled his eyes. Then he pulled out an Oreo cookie and held it up for Benjamin to see. The baby removed one of the black chocolate wafers to expose the creamy white filling and held this up for Benjamin to inspect. Benjamin squinted. In the filling, Charlie had written a message using little black cookie crumbs. The crumbs spelled out a word. K-code. What? I don't understand, Benjamin said. What could the word K-code mean? What is that kid doing? The cyborg said, coming closer to watch. He's not trying to communicate with you, is he? Quick as a flash, Charlie popped the message cookie in his mouth and chewed it up, sticking his tongue out at the cyborg. That child is disgusting, Glockenspiel muttered. Who would guess such a brilliant mind could hide behind all that drool? And the poop, it never ends. Charlie ignored the cyborg and pointed at Benjamin's head. He then held his hands up before his face and wiggled his thumbs again. He even stuck out his tongue and crossed his eyes. I don't understand, Benjamin said. You want to have a tongue war? That is gross and a little inappropriate. Glockenspiel laughed. I think he's making fun of you. Benjamin frowned. What was his brother trying to tell him? What did K-code mean? And why was his brother making the gesture with his thumbs? Surely his brother wasn't making fun of him. This could be Benjamin's final moments, and it was no time for games. Games, Benjamin thought suddenly. Maybe Charlie wasn't trying to simulate a thumb war. Maybe he was trying to mimic playing a video game with his hands. What video game? I think that is enough, Glockenspiel announced as he forced Benjamin to walk away. You two are terrible at charades. Now the little weirdo is shaking his hands like he's playing with invisible maracas. Babies don't shake maracas, Benjamin muttered to himself. Babies shake rattles. Benjamin's eyes widened. Charlie's rattle had a message code inside of it as well. It contained a piece of paper with the word Konami written on it. Maybe K-code was supposed to be short for the phrase Konami code. The Konami code was a famous video game cheat that the software company Konami had added to a number of their video game titles over the years. If you were playing one of their video games, you could activate the code via a complex sequence of joystick and button presses. If entered correctly, this would unlock superpowers within the game. Charlie was a huge cheater when it came to video games. If a game didn't have a cheat code, he would program one in himself. The Konami code was a favorite method of his to activate these programming loopholes, like he did back at NASA with the security cameras. Had Charlie installed a cheat code that could help in this situation? The only computer Benjamin had access to was the one built into the spacesuit he wore. And that computer had been hacked by Dr. Glockenspiel and wasn't responding to his input. Unless Charlie had done something to his spacesuit? His little brother had created the original software that ran the A-12 hard suit, while Benjamin had focused on the mechanical design and life support systems. Had Charlie programmed a software cheat into the spacesuit's firmware? Was there another backdoor into the control software that Benjamin could exploit to wrestle back suit control from Dr. Glockenspiel? Benjamin reached down with his mouth and moved the joystick inside his helmet. Up, down, left, right, right. He then reached out with his tongue and pressed the final button sequence, B, A, then start, mentally crossing his fingers. Instantly, an image of a little man with a pixelated toy gun appeared on his heads-up display. The man danced in place, and underneath, a message popped up. Congratulations, you've leveled up. Systems reset and all functions running at 110%. Have a nice day. He had done it! Benjamin had control of his body again. The Konami code seemed to have reset his spacesuit's operating system to the original firmware. Glockenspiel's program had been erased. Benjamin squeezed his hand into a fist and glanced over at the cyborg. The evil doctor was fiddling with the Glockenscanner device and didn't seem to have noticed Benjamin's movements. "Hey, Glockenspiel," Benjamin asked. "When I'm a cyborg, I can't eat anymore, right?" "Yes. Your Glockenbrain will run on electricity." "Well," Benjamin said, "how about a knuckle sandwich for old time's sake?" The doctor looked up, surprised. "What do you mean?" Dr. Glockenspiel had just enough time to register surprise before Benjamin's fist punched him in the face. You've reached the end of Chapter 32. Please consider liking this video or even leave a comment. Then, proceed to Chapter 33, Boss Battle.